Joined today by Dusty Ortiz of the Odessa Bronchos. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing great. We just got done with our strength and conditioning camp this morning, and it's a Thursday, meaning that this weekend, the weekend starts today.
All right. So, as you mentioned, we're into the summer with the strength and conditioning stuff, which means school just let out. You got to see your football players out there all winter and spring playing in other sports, doing other UIL competitions in the weight room, spring ball. How'd the spring go in Odessa?
We had a really good thing. We made some changes on staff, and that allowed us to implement some new schemes and some schemes that we hadn't used, and really benefited our kids offensively. I think from the offensive side of the ball, our big time receiver Ivan, he was out with track, did a bunch of events all the way to state. So it also allowed us to work with some of the younger kids, get them involved, get them caught up to the new concepts that we've installed, and allowed us to look at our run game a little more. And it all looked really well. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we have some new faces in the front, but they got a lot of reps, improved from day one to the last day. And going in, leaving spring, we felt like we have a good core of players, on both sides of the ball.
Now, here in a couple of weeks, probably exactly 2 weeks. No, yeah, exactly 2 weeks from today, you'll be traveling from Odessa to College Station to participate in the Texas State 707 state tournament, which you qualified for a few weeks ago. So kind of go through the value of 7-on-7 from a football sense and the value of the team sense of making that trip and getting those kids together in that kind of an environment.
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand. Just the 7-on-7, it allows us to get kids together. It allows for us, the dads, to coach a little bit. We have four or two dads and some alumni coaching for us, so it allows them to kind of interact with our kids and kind of see our kids on a daily basis. It allows us to get away from it from that standpoint. But having the kids together, practice, compete with one another, on the weekends, and then they're also practicing a couple of days a week with the dads and the alumni, and it allows us to continue what we've done in the spring, because we really don't have a whole lot of what I would say 7-on-7 plays. We're really basically running our offense during that time, so it allows extra reps from that standpoint. And then I think when it comes to 7-on-7, the biggest thing is putting those kids in scenarios just like a game. It's third and short. What kind of decision are you going to make? What kind of throw are you going to make? Are you going for the long ball, or are you just trying to get a first down and keep the drive alive? And and that's from an offensive standpoint, but it can also be the same way on the defensive side. It's third and short. We're playing man. Know what you can't give up. What do they have? Where do they have to get? The down and distance, the scenarios. And then the last thing that I feel that 7-on-7 helps is a communication standpoint, from a quarterback to the skill guys. And then on the defensive side, just making sure that the call is echoed from one side to the other side. So there's a lot of value in it. And I think it's just continuing the reps, especially after a spring, it continues it into the summer.
Now, you mentioned down and distance and awareness. Do you think 7-on-7, for those who don't know, there's no scoreboard. It's not saying 3rd and 2. There's no down markers on the sideline with its 2 yards short. Do you think that helps develop the awareness with your players, because they have to actually look or ask about the situation?
No, I think it definitely did. I mean, we went to the Lubbock SQT, and we were having some issues on that side of the ball, as far from that same issue, as far as knowing that we only need 3 yards, but we're throwing a 10-yard pass. And then we went to Abilene, and we didn't have those same issues. We talked to the kids, the dads and the alumni worked with the kids and brought up those same scenarios and those same issues, and we got them solved. So they were much more aware on what they had to get when we went to Abilene. And I think, again, when that's going to transfer to the game in the fall, they're going to take a look at the sticks and see where the first down marker is on both sides of the ball and understand and take what they learned in 7-on-7 again, spring. And that's going to be a big benefit come the fall.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about when the pads go on. So you just ended the school year. That means you're saying goodbye to some of your seniors. So who are you losing to graduation? Who might step into those roles? Who do you have back? Who might play different roles? What are you going to look like on the field this fall?
Well, from an offensive side, we lost our quarterback. He's going to Hardin Simmons. And so, anytime you lose your quarterback, you kind of think, well, you really have to test a new one coming in. And that's one of the reasons why we did spring. I've had conversations with coaches. And if I felt like most of the team had come back, I don't know if I'd even do spring ball. I'd just go take that extra, that 50 minutes during the period and use the extra hour before school for strength and conditioning. But, we lost our quarterback. But the JV quarterback did a really good job of competing, and they had a winning record on the JV. And I think a couple of losses they had were in the last few minutes. So we feel really good about the new one coming in. And then we lost an offensive tackle to UTPB. But again, we had somebody on the JV that's stepping into that role, and we feel like, can continue the success that was happening there and develop into a really good offensive line. And then from the defensive standpoint, we lost some interior defensive linemen that we're trying to replace. They were big bodies, strong, explosive. And, we've tried in the weight room to start developing some of our younger guys, even before this year. And we got a couple that have stood out, but it's us versus us in the spring. I'm really seeing how they do in our first scrimmage and see kind of what players are there. But we have a good rotation on the defensive line right now. We have a little bit of depth. And then, linebacker, we lost both linebackers, and so we're replacing both of those. And, secondary, everybody's coming back. And then our special team, our kicker's coming back. And I think our punter is our Division I receiver, Ivan. So he's obviously coming back. But all in all, I feel like, the past 2 years since I've been here, kids have started to buy in. They started to understand what the expectation is. So, I felt like, my first year we got really good in a couple of months, compared to what we stepped into. And then, last year we've improved a little bit as well. And then I feel like this year is going to be the big year.
All right. So kind of walk us through 2-6A, who your competition is, your crosstown rival there in Midland, of course, but who else is in the district? And what do you think they're going to look like on the field this fall?
Well, Legacy is always good. They don't rebuild. They seem like they just reload every year. So, Coach Hartman does a good job with that team out there, and I think this coming year is no different. They lost some talent, but I think they have guys to fill in those roles and continue their success. I feel like Friendship has really made some strides. I mean, they've been, ever since I've taken this job, they've been really good. And I think last year was a great indication of how good they can be. And, I think most of their teams coming back, their quarterbacks coming back. Same thing for Legacy. They got Davila that's coming back. That's a real stud and really good. So I think those two teams are going to be, and you can't leave Permian out of the mix. They always seem to get it done, and their offense you don't see a whole lot, and I think that and they always have big bodies and a fast quarterback and a good little fullback to hit that dive. So they have really good skill players, and their defense has been good. So I feel like those three teams are pretty much, until somebody knocks them off right now, I think those are the top three. And then looking over again to Midland and what Coach Fortune has done over there, and they run that same offense Permian's running, and they're only getting better. I mean, I think they started out last year with a bang, and they've obviously, that's a team that we hadn't beat since I've been here, and he does a really good job with the offense and just getting what they need. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and but I think that's a team to watch for. That's a team that has the potential to break into the playoffs. And then Central. They lost a good quarterback, but I've seen their JVs, and I think their JV quarterback's really good, and they're explosive offensively, so that always gives them a chance to win. And then you look at who am I leaving out? Is that it? Everybody talked about everybody except for us. And then, I think we're able to compete with anybody this year. We gotta get things better defensively, just give us a chance to win. And I think like with our offense being the way it is, I think we're going to be able to compete with anybody.
So let's try and take a real big picture view here. You've been around coaching for probably more years than you want to admit, but
it's going to be my 22nd year.
22nd years. So in 22 years, you've seen changes that have happened, haven't been small changes. But what would you say the biggest challenge facing Texas high school athletics right now is?
I think when you look at it, I think the biggest thing is just, we get into the summer, and I think there's a lot of travel camp, travel 7-on-7 that doesn't necessarily play with the high school teams, and allow for a little more leniency in a lot of different areas, whether it be, just I think, when you come from a high school standpoint, what we do, we're trying to make not just better athletes, but better kids. The grades are important to us at the high school level. The attendance is important to us at that high school level. And, I think when you get this extra outside of high school, these extra trainings or these extra, travel teams, I think that's the thing that's probably and I don't know how big of an issue it is, but it's just, it takes away from the team standpoint from a high school. You got guys playing on these teams that are loaded with talent, and they're getting better. But then when you look at your own high school team, you really use some of those guys that are playing for those travel teams on our school, when we go to 7-on-7 tournaments or just compete in anything, or just being here during our workouts, they're missing because they're going with these travel teams. And I think that's the biggest thing. I don't really necessarily know how much exposure, how much help they really help out. But I know that on a Friday night when you're playing with your team, if you show out and execute and have big games and help the team win, that's more meaningful, in my opinion, than these travel teams and these outside programs that are doing stuff like that. So I think and it's just finding a way to work it through, because I don't think it's going to stop. So you got to find a way to work through things and find a healthy outcome that benefits the kid at the end of the day. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We're in a kid business, so we got to figure out how to benefit it. And I don't think that's going away. So you got to somehow just work both of them and make sure that the kid wins at the end of the day.
All right, so let's go from real big picture down to real small picture and try and learn a little bit about Dusty Ortiz here. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Well, I think we talked a little bit before we recorded. I love some Chipotle, and I love, I'll take a break from here and, I'll put on it and, go over there and, I'm trying to, it's hard to lose weight when you're eating Chipotle, rice, beans, meat, and then you load it up with some sour cream and some cheese. So just getting away, and whether it's Chipotle or breaking away, once I give in to something different than what I have in my fridge in the office, it's all over. So I guess you could say just eating out. This morning I went by the burrito place right by the school and couldn't just get a burrito. I ended up getting a donut and everything else because I knew today was going to be a long day. And I need to, that's my guilty pleasures. When I go out, I'm usually going to get some food, and it's not going to be a good thing.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck as you go through the summer and head into the 23 season.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much. Go Broncos.
And for our viewers on YouTube, if you like this video, hit the like button down below. It really helps with the algorithm on YouTube and getting this video in front of more eyes. And if you like what we're doing with these interviews, hit the subscribe and notification button so that you'll be notified when we post new videos.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.